Brawlers end of the year edition, where we'll be handing out awards for Trainer of the Year, Knockout of the Year, Fight of the Year, and Fighter of the Year. I'm your host, Alvin.
I'm JD.
And I'm DJ Ammunition.
And today we're going to start off with Trainer of the Year. JD, who you got?
Trainer of the Year, to me, is going to go to Freddie Roach. Now, I know there's honorable mentions that could have been considered as well, but to me, Freddie Roach had more boxers on his roster that did more impressive things throughout the year of 2014. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Freddie Roach.
Now, Steven, a lot of people are saying Abel Garcia, too, because of the Triple G. I mean, he was dominant over the year, but Abel Garcia only had Triple G, really.
Exactly.
What do you think?
I still give the Trainer of the Year to Freddie Roach. I mean, he did have a lot more fighters, and they were very successful.
I think Miguel Cotto is what puts him over the edge for Trainer of the Year. I mean, to me, the dominant win he had over Sergio Martinez, and to me, Freddie Roach is a good strategist. He puts out a plan for his fighters, and I think the way he came out versus Sergio Garcia was to utilize that hook, and that's what Sergio Martinez, yeah, excuse me, but to utilize that hook, and that's what he ultimately caught him with, and that to me that is Freddie Roach.
What made it more impressive to me was that Cotto going in was the underdog to the fight. There were very little people giving Cotto a chance. Now, going in, I thought Cotto was going to win. I didn't think he was going to win in the fashion he did, which was
it was dominant fashion, yeah.
And to me, that's really the fight that's doing it for me. Miguel Cotto going in, dominating Sergio Martinez the way he did. At that, he became the first Puerto Rican to title in 4 divisions.
4 divisions, yeah.
So that pretty much helped solidify his Hall of Fame.
Along with the wins with Pac and the way he beat Bradley in the rematch, and then he came back and had a dominant win over Algieri, which we all know about. So for Boxers and Brawlers, Trainer of the Year, it's unanimous. We got Freddie Roach. Now moving on, Knockout of the Year. There was a lot of knockouts. Some with not so significant wins, but to us, who do you got?
I'm gonna go ahead and give Knockout of the Year to Danny Garcia when he knocked out Salka, and that was a really good fight. It was a second round knockout. They were exchanging for the first round. Got into the second round. He caught him with was it a left hook?
It was a left hook.
Hook, and took him down.
Now, the competition wasn't there exactly, but a knockout's a knockout, and he did just that. He blasted him out with that left hook that just left him for dead pretty much. So I think it's pretty fair to go with Danny Garcia.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, a lot of people are going with the Gamboa knockout, Crawford over Gamboa, but this knockout to me was more brutal. It was after he took him down several times. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 knockdowns, and the left hook, as you mentioned, ultimately did him. I mean, it was as soon as he hit that punch, they threw in the towel. I mean, it was that brutal.
Crawford's knockout was more significant.
It was,
but like you said, Danny Garcia's was more brutal. So that's why I go with Danny Garcia.
And again, here at Boxers and Brawlers, we go back and forth over these knockouts, trainers, fighters, and all that. It's unanimous. We went with Danny Garcia. Now, Fight of the Year. A lot of fights, of course. A lot of different promotion companies putting fights together. Who do y'all got?
To me, hands down, I mean, as Alvin mentioned, there was tons of great fights, but for me, it's going to be Matisse and Molina. It was a great fight. There was knockdowns on both sides, and it ended up with the knockout, with Matisse coming out with the knockout in the 11th round.
And to me, that fight, too, is, at one point there, guys, we didn't know who was going to win that fight.
At one point, I thought Matisse was actually going to lose the fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was back and forth. Somewhere around the 8th, 9th round, it looked like Molina had finally taken over it, and, Matisse caught him.
He caught him and then knocked him down in the 8th, again in the 10th, but not to mention Matisse was down several times himself as well. Yeah. So it made for an all-action fight. As I mentioned, knockdowns on both sides, so I give it to Matisse Molina for Fight of the Year, pretty much easily for me.
Yeah, I like that for Fight of the Year as well. What about you, Steven?
Same thing, man. Same thing. It was a really good fight. It was a lot of just hard hits. And Matisse Molina, that's Fight of the Year.
Again, here at Boxers and Brawlers, we're not taking into consideration the magnitude of the fight. Like Cotto Martinez was a big fight. It was a really good fight. But as far as action is concerned, there was a time, like I said, we didn't know who was going to fight. And that's why we went with Fight of the Year with Matisse Molina.
We're looking for more action than the significance of the fight. So if it's a true fight or you see nothing but firecrackers, that's more likely what we're going to go with as far as Fight of the Year or whatever type of rewards we're going after.
As well as Trainer of the Year and KO of the Year. Now, moving on. To us, this is the big one, okay? The fighter that did the most, we thought, really made a name for himself in 2014 for us is none other than Crawford. Terrence Crawford.
Terrence Crawford. Yeah, he had 3 big fights throughout the year. He had the Ricky Burns fight. He had the Yoriokas Gamboa fight, which he won in knockout in great fashion. And then he also went on to get a points win over Raimundo Beltran. So,
and that was his last fight. That was just last month against Beltran. And again, Crawford, to me, going into the Gamboa fight, he was the underdog. Or a lot of people, not so much the underdog. To me, personally, I thought Gamboa was going to beat him. I mean, but he came out, not only beat him, it was a very good fight. He came out and did a lot more.
A lot more than what was expected.
Following that fight as well. Yeah. So for us, Fighter of the Year is Terrence Crawford. Guys?
I go ahead with Terrence Crawford as well. For me, it was a real easy choice for me to make. Now, there was other honorable mentions in there. Great fighters in there. Not forgetting Kovalev.
Yeah, Kovalev. Yeah.
Kovalev was my other guy. I wasn't sure who I wanted to go with, but the reason I did go with Terrence Crawford were because at this point his wins were more significant wins than what Kovalev's were. Kovalev had the Bernard Hopkins win, which was a great win. He beat him up in dominant fashion. But again, Terrence Crawford had 3 major wins.
3 major
throughout
wins.
The year.
And I mean, this is Kovalev. You got Walters. Would have been another one that would have been a good candidate.
Walters also had a great year.
He had a great year, yeah.
He took out Darchinyan by knockout, and then he also took out Nonito Donaire, who had never...
By knockout.
By knockout.
Yeah. So, these are our end of the year awards. Make sure you let us know. Go follow us. Make sure you let us know who you got on your end of the year awards. And this has been a great year for Boxers and Brawlers. .com, guys, right? I mean,
exactly.
This is our first year as our website bringing you the latest in boxing.
Interviews or post-fight interviews, and we want to give several shout-outs to the companies that we had the opportunity to work with throughout the 2014 year, which includes Leha Bata, Golden Boy Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, and Top Rank Promotions. We had an opportunity to work a lot of events with them this year.
Especially to you fans that follow us here at BoxersandBallers.com. Thank you for sharing our page. Thank you for looking us up. Thank you for doing all that you do out there in the boxing world.
Now, another thing we want to make sure we mention is stay tuned, stay posted to us. We're going to have another show we're going to be posting up very soon into the new year. It's called Matchmaker. Basically, it's where we take a handful of boxers and we take one primary boxer and we try to match them up as best as possible to see which will be the more beneficial fight and also the more exciting fight.
And this Matchmaker, John David, Steven, is something that we feel the fans want to see.
Yes.
You know, Matchmaker is matching fighters out there that they can fight each other. It's just really nothing there that holding them back other than saying the public speaking out and saying, hey, we want to see this fight.
Exactly. It'll put your host at Boxers and Brawlers in the promoter seat, per se, to see what matchups we could bring you. Realistic matchups at that. Nothing fantasy, nothing too far-fetched. Just matches that are very possible and likely to happen in 2015. Hopefully we can get noticed more on that and see what fights we could help establish here in the great state of Texas.
Again, this is BoxersandBrawlers.com. Thank you. And have a good New Year's. So long.
Happy New Year.